everybody. How are you all doing? As I'm looking around, I've got four things going on at the same time, but we are live. It's like, all right, the bus is leaving. I'm leaving the door for those who feel really acrobatic and really in shape. You can jump on in as we're moving out. But welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, at least it is in our side of the world, as we are going live on this. And if you're here, then you're in the right spot. This is a second look. So this is not deja vu. Actually, the memory that we have already lived, we're reliving it again. That's cool. So my lovely co-host, Miss Trina, how you doing, darling?
I'm doing better. It's always good to be with you and so bad.
You're looking fabulous today. I just have to say that,
Much
as he
love.
goes over here.
You look like you got some sun, Wayne.
Hey, you know what? I really have.
I know. I can see.
It's true. It's true. My wife says I got this. I even got a tan on my legs.
Oh, wow. Good for you. That is awesome.
I guess it looks good. It's better than pale.
I think it's just good for the body to have some color. I think it's a vitamin thing. Yeah, I think it really makes you feel better.
So, hon, I hear it's like freaking hot where you are. I mean, we're not just talking hot. We're talking frying an egg on the the sidewalk.
We had a guy fall down yesterday and they didn't see him real quickly and it fried his brain from being on the concrete and it killed him. Yeah, it's
holy crap. Hey, Darlene, how you doing, darling? Good to see you. Holy freaking, that's hot. That's took
his brain. Literally.
I like the sunshine. I like the warmth, but there's levels to everyone's, I guess, tolerance. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So
it's hot everywhere though. Greece, everywhere. I mean, this is worldwide right now. We're in a heat wave, but this typically happens in the summertime. We have heat waves, but like you and I were talking, I think it's got more to do with the sun and the atmosphere.
Oh, I think we're in a midst of change, Jenny. We can see you, dear. So there you are. Hey, Jenny.
Hey.
What's up?
The internet's not up anyway. It's still pretty misty.
It's the sun, man. I'm telling you,
it's raining and pouring over here. It's cold. It's been like that all week. Raining, pouring. So yeah, the last day of heat. And I mean, it was really hot and then just really cold and wet. So we are, there's some places flooding close to where I live. Not badly, but you've got to be careful going through the country roads. They're filling up, just in a couple of days we've had so much rain. We've had our 2 days of summer this year.
2 days.
2 days of summer.
That is so interesting. I think we're when you talk about climate change, the climate is always changing, but we have some, as I understand it, and this is from Ben Davidson,
there was just some lightning there, Wayne, out of the curtains when you were speaking. You said we've always had change, and the lightning just flashed out of the curtain.
Hey, baby, I got an effect. What can I say?
I wish I had the curtains open so you'd seen it, but I'm like, oh.
Kabam. By the way, we want to speak favor over everybody here. Thank you for being a part of this journey. I mean, we are in a season of change, and it is here. And I couldn't think of a better group of souls to be with than y'all. It makes it, because there will be a point where there's going to be an interruption. We're not going to be able to get together. And I think we just need to anticipate that. But before that happens, and, we can certainly make the most of it and,
Well,
We
I'm
can
still a
write.
bit rough. I'm still a bit rough from last week. Theo's still a little bit rough. He's a lot better. And I think it would have been so much worse if we weren't doing everything holistically possible. You know, you could feel it wanting to get worse. So we've done pretty good, but all week. And I haven't been able to get to my computer other than for work things. And I haven't been able to socialize at all on it. But all week I felt Trina, like right there. You know, just sending that energy, sending the
Yeah,
heat.
and last night I was in a bath with your herbs, and I was just sending you more love,
Oh, well, you
girl.
were connecting to me then because
Yeah.
in that I felt you so strongly.
I
I mean,
was like, I love you,
yeah.
Jen. I love you,
You
Jen.
may as well have been here, like making teas and things for me and looking after me in spirit. She was absolutely facilitating that role as if she'd flown here and said, right, you lie down and let me do everything. Yeah. She's even been sending some juju over the boys, you know, to keep them from needing to be micromanaged. I can feel that. I felt that strongly, Trina.
Thank you. Thank
Sort
you.
of sending peace to the boys to give me peace.
The whole house, the
whole house.
whole thing.
It's
Yeah.
been ambient because of you.
Thank
So
you.
that's something when you're saying this could be disconnected, how much can it really ever be disconnected now for what you've built here, Wayne, and what everybody else has joined in and been a labourer for in your favour? How much can it really be interrupted? Because Trina may as well have flown over here and said, lay down, Jenny. I'm going to do everything I can do to make the boys not need you as much, to make the house just run, to make the week go fast. And she's just been there. So how much can really ever disconnect this?
That's what we're talking about. I mean, you know, we're learning to reach out. And I don't know about y'all, but I have found that in my time of meditation, which I do more and more and more, wow, it appears to me, and it's just me, that the communication to the other energies, other entities, whatever you want to define it, for me, it's like it's really becoming, it's like someone turned on the switch and then they turned on the booster.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Portals opening up, just like that land opening up in Iceland, and I've been saying it for the last coming years. Everybody that I've been saying there's riptides of energy coming through where, you know, both good and bad will be harnessed, but you know, definitely a translucency in the veils that used to keep things slightly more echoey or disconnected from one dimension to another. There's a lot of thinning of that across the plane, and then thickening of that also across the plane. And it's a movable thing. You can feel it cycling around.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like the artificial matrix, the frequency fence, the lower vibration one that's an overlay of everything we see. The new light is just, it's disrupting it. Like you said, it's kind of breaking it apart. And so I feel like now they're kind of merging, which is making things feel wobbly.
Yeah, it's making people feel discombobulated. That's the word that really describes it, discombobulated. And that's like where you know, when things are structured and coagulated, when you're discombobulated, you don't know quite what's up, but you can feel it. You just feel out, you can feel discombobulated in your body, and you just want to crawl out of your body because it's like, this doesn't feel like me right now, you know, or this. So that's the feeling a lot of people who haven't gotten awareness of these energetic shifts are feeling, and they can't quite put their finger on where that feeling is coming from, which is causing a lot of disruption and anger in a lot of people that have not got awareness, because that feeling of discombobulation, when you haven't got a grounded awareness, it creates a fight or flight mode.
I hear the word decoupling, you know, it's like a lot of people, they've decoupled their spirits. There are so many people today that the spiritual aspect of their existence is virtually non-existent.
Minute.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but that was spoken about when, again, sorry to say, but you know, the readings that I was giving a couple of years ago, Gaia will remember this better than me, because it's other people that remember the particular parts of readings that I've given. I tend to let them go. But I'd said, you know, they're literally trying to hook up technology to disconnect people from their source energy. And they're using that source energy to build other universes, dimensions within dimensions, and then the metaverse came out. And that's just one example that we're seeing in front of our faces of a consciousness field being built. You know, and they're saying it's a failure. It's not a failure, because that's just the front face of it. What they've been building is using people's consciousness to build these other dimensions within dimensions that are fully controllable.
I have David Devine of Adapt 2030 coming on Thursday. And I hope everyone would start spreading the word on this. We're going to be talking about specifically what we're about to experience, and David will get into this more. But in late 2024, early 2025, the Earth will literally be, because we're right now in the middle of a magnetic excursion. Our magnetic poles are moving, and they're moving faster than at any time that we've ever recorded. So David, and he'll explain this more, but so that we exist as energy beings. We're magnetic within ourselves. We have poles that we move to, as Jenny, as you were saying.
Yeah, Rahu and Ketu.
Yes, exactly. So, ladies, are y'all ready for this? We're going to be coming up on a conjunction of the cube, and it's the 4 planets that will be forming a conjunction. And the Earth will literally be going through a period, and it's a short, very short period, but we're going to go through what they call the plane. Now, and David's going to get into this better. We're basically going to be at neutrality magnetically.
Oh.
Exactly. This is something that, you know, he's going to get into it more, because we're already beginning to feel the effects of this.
Whoa.
And it's only going to get more intense. So everybody, make sure you tune in this Thursday. Next Thursday, we have Penny coming on, which Penny Kelly, I'm looking forward to this. And so, and then we're going to get Ryder, because Ryder is releasing a film that him and Jay Wilder did on the JFK assassination. But this Thursday is going to be an intense one, because I've been sensing this, that there is something's going to trigger something big. I mean, and this magnetic neutrality, I don't know what it's going to do to us cognitively. I don't know what it's going to do to us. Maybe this is this point of transformation.
You know how you have the 2 lobes of the brain? What's just come to me there is that the dominant nature in a lot of people, it's going to flip to, so where we are more spiritual, creative, that there's going to be a natural flip, isn't there, in the lobes of the brain automatically. And so that's going to cause a lot of bodily function things in people who aren't ready for that.
When Wayne was talking, I literally heard like laughter, and then be still and know I am God. I was like, oh shoot, this could be interesting. So I think if you don't know how to still point and be okay in stillness, you might pop a cork. But if you can do that,
we should do that. I think we should do. I'll lead it. I'll do a group session for everybody privately on Zoom that wants to join in. Might be better via you, Wayne, because more people, you know,
sure.
I'll guide a session of groundedness. If you find out the exact timing of this, we'll do a 3-day process maybe beforehand of just a real guided grounding, getting comfortable in the stillness hangman tarot card type of meditation.
Another part of it too is I keep hearing this over and over again. We need to, they keep telling me one of the problems that we've had as humans for so long is that we didn't know how to shield. We didn't know how to protect our energy or our planet because we forgot when we got dense into we forgot. We just lost that part of our practices. And many of us know to shield and protect, but a lot of people don't. So I think this is a big thing. When we go through these huge windows, like the square, the cube, we're going to go through it. I think this is like, it's one of those, what the child prophet saw when she saw the diving through the holes, the black holes. And we didn't think we were going to make it through it, but we would make it through it. But we would go through 3 and we'd have 3 really scary holes or dark holes or black holes. And then she talked about the 3 days of darkness. So these alignments might bring in a 3-day of darkness. It might be some weird stuff going on. We might, who knows? But if you know it's coming and you just protect and shield, they're showing me that you can ride through these waves. And that's why we come through this as the gods of the impossible.
Can I just answer somebody in the chat? Is that okay? Just before I forget, I'll just say Mr. Hook, because I only saw Hook. He said, how can we ground ourselves? I think in a nervous way. One great way is to go outside at least twice a day on soil or sand or in the water and just let your electrons actually physically change just with 10 minutes of standing on ground. That's great. I wrap a little bit of copper wire around my ankle, which I did make in both Trina's and Wayne's wand, and then I stick the copper wire into the ground and stand there with it, and that really grounds you. And then obviously there's the meditation that we can do where we can show you how to do it consciously and exude that externally. Absolutely. Just because I didn't want anyone being nervous of
it's simple too. Another favorite of mine for people, because a lot of people, they just want a visual. Just imagine that you're a tree and dig your roots all the way down into the center of the earth and just feel it all going through.
Stretch up.
Just ground into the earth. Make yourself a tree, and as above, so below. The bigger you get down there, the bigger you get above, and just go for it. And that's a huge tool for me to ground. Is just I just go be a tree.
And that meditation, Trina, you actually start to feel and see the light in the root area. It's very much more electronic light that sort of looks like the nerve, but you see that, you feel that. So
then you connect to the mushrooms and the soil, and it's just you can go really big with it. Yeah, you really can. Yeah.
I think something is when David mentioned it's when we were on Writer's 200th podcast, and when he said it struck me. It's one of those things that you begin to see. It's a key word that came in. It was a feeling for me, and I said, well, it's very obvious that I said something's going to happen here. I mean, this is not normal. It's not where the earth is in a position like this, but once in a cycle, it could be a 12,000 year cycle. If this is the case, then it would go hand in hand with the catastrophism that the earth has shown that happens every 12 to 6,000 years. And now we're at the eclipse of the 12,000 year cycle. So is this the beginning of that? I don't know.
You're right.
There's 12,000 cycles, there's Archipier 6,300, but then it's difficult to say because then we're sort of predicting it on the fake yearly basis that we got from the Gregorian calendar. So to me, it always stands to, I sort of look at these people that tell us about these cycles. I know they've happened, but they tell us in years that have been made up. you know, so we don't really know, but I do know from feeling Mr. McKenzie, I think I'm just going to say, I keep saying the last names in the chat. He said we're all part of Earth's motor, and we are, and this is how we can actually help guide the ship through this period that you're talking about, Wayne, these periods, because right now I feel a lot of these big cycles somehow lining up, you know, so the 6,003-year cycle.
I think we're closing 3 cycles, and everybody's saying that this is a grand alignment, like a minimum and a lower. This is 3 levels. So we've got the 3 cycles all coming into Aquarius, which is the beginning. Aquarius is the beginning. So it's the Alpha Omega. It's the beginning and the end. It's Aqua Aries. It's both. It's so hard to explain, put it into words what they show me. But that's why I think that the child saw the 3 O holes. I think that was the alignment of all 3 calendars, because, you know, we're sitting in 3 big wheels. So with the back.
They're wheels. They're wheels. They're not this line calendar.
Yeah, and I think all 3 are coming into an alignment to close and begin a new. This is a big one.
It's like a slot machine. We're about to hit, you know, the 3 cherries across, you know.
Coins are hanging over the edge.
Well, that's just the question, you know, is this going to be a jackpot,
Trina,
or, you know, not?
That's right.
Temperance card there. So Trina's describing the Temperance card, Aquarius. This is the card for Aquarius. So it's actually an air element card, but you can see she's transmuting the energies, the energetic rainbow of all of the frequencies from one chalice to another. And she's putting her foot in the pond at the same time and the foot on the ground at the same time, creating an energetic circuit board of being grounded, balanced, but being able to transmute even the most hairy of energies, you know, being able to stay in that peaceful position in the so that's what you described there, Trina, and that's what we need to be for this ship to help guide through, you know, around the ice.
Be still and know that I am God. Through our mind, we can guide the ship. We can truly affect it in a good way or a negative way, because fear is the tool of the enemy. You know,
well, you know, here's the thing within this group. I mean, I think there are a lot of us who, you know, I can say we've mastered at least a level of meditation that allows us to. It's quite interesting. On Saturday, I was visited by this dragon again, you know, and it's this golden dragon, and it seems to like me, and you know, and of course, it's an energy, and this is how it manifests within my mind, particularly when it comes in and starts talking. And it was talking to me about transformation. And it was interesting in the conversation because it says you were anticipating in your former, in this, it's amazing how many times we can reiterate life in many different transitions. I mean, the R. Wayne Steiger today is a different R. Wayne Steiger than it was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, there was an anticipation of my arrival here. And anyway, and so we're having this conversation, and he brings up, you know, the catching away in the book of, I believe it's Thessalonians. And it's the second book where it talks about the catching away of the saints, and that how in a moment of a twinkling of an eye, they'll be transmuted into a new being. And it's described as going through a fire, and that which is of, you know, the bad things, whatever the hell the bad things are, well, that is consumed in this fire. And as you pass through it, then what you emerge on the other side is you. But it's not you, because you just went through. And so I was talking to my wife about this because she finds these discussions interesting. She said, well, that's interesting. I said, but listen, I said, take this instead of a spiritual or, you know, religious context, look at this as an alien abduction, that this is like a teleportation machine. You step in it, the energy is all around you. That's radiation. That's fire. And then you go through this and you are altered.
Yeah.
And that's the
Made
death
less.
and birth.
So that
isn't it?
that makes salvation not something that you want to look forward to.
No, no,
You're going to change. They're going to change you.
Yeah,
I
but to
think,
the will.
but what about what about when you do it for yourself and you are your salvation? And they always say it's an internal process.
See, that's the
Nobody
thing.
do it
You
for
won't fit in that. You won't fit into that particular energy. And it's an adaptive energy. The only way that you're going to walk through this thing is you're going to have to do it by consent, voluntarily.
You got to
The only way you're
disconnect
going to
from.
walk through this thing is if you've got certain chips as well that you have
Yes.
been consented to
Well, I
further.
even think at death, I think
Yeah.
that this is what awaits all of us in this aspect. I think that there is a bifurcation at what we call physical death. You know, there's no way that our spirits would ever be in line with what would be in the construct of a heaven ruled by a male deity sitting on a throne, throwing out rules and regulations that itself doesn't follow.
You know what? The weather right now in the UK, I don't know if they're doing it for you guys, but this heat wave that obviously I know you're feeling the effects of, we felt it for 2 days, but they're calling them basically the only name that's left. I wish I could remember. Penguidi might be able to say, but they're calling them by names of like huge godlike energies. Basically, the only one that's left to use now is the so-called Lucifer, Satan. That's what they're calling these weather changes and these. They never used to name heat waves. They only used to, so you know how you're saying they're pushing people through this rings of fire of ultimate hell or heaven. They're putting that in the consciousness of the people naming heat waves when they never used to name heat waves. So the first time they've gone and named heat waves, they're all to do with hellish gods that are going to judge and be wrathful to you. I bet you Penguidi knows exactly what the names are, but it's crazy.
Wow.
Hey, Theodore.
Hi, Theo.
What's happening, my man?
Hello there, Theo. He got a very good school report.
Excellent. Excellent.
Really well at school, so he got a really good school report. It's in his jammies now, but he was told not to come in. But yeah, isn't that interesting that you spoke about the going through these rings? Right now there's like 3 different heat waves that they've named 3 rings of fire, and in the same sort of speeches they're mentioning the wildfires and the evacuation of people. It's really like you can see the spell work at play, and it's huge right now. They're being busy warlocks.
Yes, they are, but that's why we got to be busy on the balance end of it, because if we know we can affect the reality by consciousness, well, that's why they want to control what we think and feel and see. They want to keep everybody freaked out. It's so funny, man. Be still, know that I am, and concentrate on calming everything down, letting things change in accordance to the natural plan versus the being pushed artificial plans. But give nature the power to do what nature needs to do, but have the power to help that happen, to break through all the dark implants and negative things that are working that aren't supposed to be a part of the natural organic earth timeline. Because I really do think we've got overlays on overlays, and they are levels of fear and darkness with dark agendas, and how those timelines stay alive. And if you buy into them, you will ride on that line. Absolutely. What you think about, you're going to bring about.
Theo has a fan club here. That's all I got to say.
Of course he does.
Theo, man, all I got to tell you, dude, is that, man, you are like a star.
He's a little god, aren't you? Little Norse god.
I'm telling you, it's just, and by the way, we did say favor everyone, nothing missing, nothing broken. We want to make sure we get that. Yeah, it's like, There's
the names. Penguidi said the names now in the chat there. So, Cerebus, Sharon and Azina. And when you look them up, the way that they're speaking about them, none of the positive connotations of any of those, but all of the negative, wrathful ones in all of the news.
So they're
cycles.
naming over there these heat
Yeah.
waves, these particular. Well, now that's interesting.
And
Yeah.
the UK is naming them, and we haven't even been affected by them. We haven't got them. You know, that it's
Wow.
not here. It's in Europe, but it's not here. Not at all.
Interesting.
So they actually have this in print and in the news, and they're speaking this out.
Constantly. They're
Yeah,
speaking it over people like a prayer all day, every day for the last week or so. And they're being very careful to mention very little where they're actually speaking about. You know, like they should be saying, so in America or in Greece. There's very little of that. I've been watching them because I thought, you're doing such nasty spell work on people, and it's the whole annihilation spell work. It's that kind of magic that's going on where people are ready to get on their knees when this shift happens and be raptured, rather than know that consciously, if we are strong, like Trina says, we can actually steer the ship. This is actually the moment in time that we actually activate this type of technology that a lot of people speak about when ships are navigated through consciousness, not through motors, not through levers, but through consciousness. What do you call them? Macabres?
Merkaba.
Merkaba. That's what we're doing here. Merkaba, Trina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see they show 2. No, we're going 3 layers now, and it's going to rotate in 3 different directions. So the Merkaba now is expanding as well. It's going from a dual to a 3, a trinity.
You know what,
And
Trina? It's like Willy Wonka's glass elevator, isn't it?
yes, and we're going.
I think what I'm not hearing in this discussion is, listen, I've taught enough of the occult here, folks, is that and I haven't heard it here in the United States, so this is really interesting. But if this is what's happening over in the UK and in Europe, come on, folks. I mean, all of us should be well learned enough that when they adapt that megaphone, which is the media, and now put this into it, they're calling these names of these deities. I mean, that's what I heard immediately, is that by calling our name, you've given us permission.
And power. And
let's just say this: the vast amount of the population isn't going to be listening to a second look on understanding how to counter this. I mean, because that's a wave of magnitude.
But Wayne, it only takes a small amount of people working in a positive way to cancel out and just literally obliterate the negative, because it has no. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. They're all seeing it in Europe. Okay, we'll say, 30,000 people have an awareness to that, and they're all going to produce the absolute angel above it. Because if you can manifest in your imagination the opposite of what it is, you actually neutralize it. And that's how energy works. So when they're saying, oh yeah, rings of fire and stuff, you see beautiful snowstorms and gentle breezes and beach days that are just perfect. Just focus on the opposite, because our energy cancels out the bad stuff, so we can make things better, gentler. We can't stop it all. We can't control, but we can really make it
I think, and we've got to be aware of that. I mean, I don't disagree with you, Trina. I think absolutely, and you have multiplications of
darkness out, and people don't even know.
But they are activating fear. You're right also, Wayne, because in these same news articles, they're saying, so Rome has got everybody on lockdown, everybody's staying locked down. They're even mentioning like the churches over there. They've shut them down. They've closed the doors because of this terrible, whichever God coming through in this heat wave. And so they're activating the same fear response as they did over the last 3 years. The danger with that is people's people's energetic field is wide open now. They've already been prized open by fear. So they've already been living in continuous fight or flight for at least 3 years. That makes them dangerous when they hit again with another wave of fear, because it's hard to counteract.
Well, I think that this is just, again, as I wrote in the comments at the beginning, they've got it lined up. I mean, and this kind of goes in again with David coming on Thursday. Celestially, this is significant, how we're going to be. It's pretty well documented now. It's interesting. If you look at what I would call the alternate medium, particularly like Amazon Prime, and you have the other streaming services, if you look at the content that's being produced out there, I was writing feverishly over the weekend because that's what I was doing. I was just going into Hulu, and I was going into a lot of different ones and just seeing what's being produced. And what I came back with, I told Lynn last night, I said, this is shocking. And then this is why the next statement I make, this is going to happen. There is going to be, whether it's a simulated or an actual appearance of what we would call ET. There is going to be ships in the air. And the reason why I can say that with such confidence is that it's quite bizarre to see the diversity of the many different modalities of how they're presenting this. And it's very obvious that it's preparing the mindset. And I think particularly for the under 40-year-olds, they're the ones who are being inundated and fully programmed that when this happens, that I think that this is going to be the master trigger. It's going to do one of two things. Either it's going to be a projection that's going to be a simulation of real, but no matter what, I expect the world governments to come in and all surrender sovereignty for this perceived threat. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here telling you it's going to happen. And it's going to happen on top of just a plethora of, you're going to have new pandemics, you're going to have new lockdowns, you're going to have new criteria of fear like we've never seen before. I was listening to the Farm Report here in preparing for David on Thursday. Holy crapola, folks. Do you realize what happened over the weekend? Russia shut down the Black Sea deal. That means the world is about to starve. Here in the Midwest, the crop is only projected to be 25% of what they call a normal year.
Yep.
This is worldwide potential famine.
Yep.
Yes.
I had a feeling that the hunger, the games that we could play, that was next on the thing, and it looks like I'm right. I kept saying
this simulation is going to happen, and it's I know I've been in, I was in the film and video industry for over 2 decades, and served as president of the International Television Association. I know the industry. And I know how writers work. I know how the programming works. We're all been programmed, particularly if you're a baby boomer. We were the beginnings of what this television was really, the potency of it. And it merely adapted to the motion picture.
Yeah.
And that's
they knew they could form the world by producing images in our mind. Because if they produce the images, we don't create. We don't produce our own images because they're doing it for us. And that's exactly what they wanted. And that's exactly what we did.
Well,
so
also the flicker rate of the frame rate is absolutely set to put people into a hypnotic state.
Bingo.
So
Totally.
right deep in there, isn't it? It's like wedging right in there, and you know.
And then you hear Kamala Harris on Friday, which, you know, we don't get into politics here, but you have to stop and say, when she was talking about climate change specifically, and she said the goal of climate change is obviously to reduce carbon emissions and population. What? Did you just say that the goal of climate change was depopulation?
Yeah.
And we are carbon, you know, so it's trick speak, isn't it, for saying we're talking about you and we're telling you that,
exactly, is what's happening. They are telling us,
you
know,
but, and I think that's misconstrued. I think people, when they say, there's a contract energetically, spiritually, yes and no. What I find is that if somebody is giving you the full picture, it's almost like it gets into the consciousness even deeper and into the subconscious, because it makes sense. They're telling you what they're going to do, and then you see it happen. And so actually it's more,
they do.
More just a beneficial contract thing. And the ET thing, news over here has never mentioned ET unless it's to take we would say take the mickey out of it, tease about it, and even that's very rare. But you're right, Wayne, the same magic projection, they've been speaking about these discoveries of ET life, these, they've been news readers that would never say such a thing, or saying, well, it stands to reason, we can't just say we're the only ones. It's a script, and it's getting right.
Well, here in the United States, Jenny, it is the #1 hot topic in politics. So this is, my experience being in the political arena is like, holy crap, when you've got
working on legislation and stuff for this.
Oh yeah, well, you got the one congressman from Tennessee who sits on the House Intelligence Committee, and he was in a private secure showing. He comes out of that and he says, we're in deep shit. That's exact words. He said, if what I saw is true, he says, it's all over. So we're being, here in the United States, Jenny, just to finish the point, we're being inundated with it. It's in the stories. It's all mainstream media. You've got, one of the shows over here, Skinwalker Ranch. It's very interesting. I know the guy who owns Skinwalker Ranch. When I was on the raising capital for my company, one of the larger investor conferences was right there in Salt Lake City. Well, yeah. So Brandon was on there, but so we're being inundated, and it's all preparation. And like I said, when I saw what this private streaming services are doing in far as their entertainment, wow, that and the occult, that it's very interesting, the inundation of the occult upon minds that really don't understand the occult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Dang it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, I'll shut up, but this is what this transformation, be aware.
Yeah.
Because I think, here's the point, ladies, I believe that we're all attempting, we're more difficult cases, but I think the transformation is taking place as we talk.
Yeah.
We can't stop it all. I mean, there's a great app that Abby's just found, and I'm trying to find a way of how I get on it as a business for the products that I give, because the products that I make, they're food. The tea is natural food. I put nothing on it. There's no preservatives. There's no pesticides in the growing of it. It's natural as I can get anyway. The oils are the same. They're all just natural ingredients. It's skin food. Now, this app, it's called, and this is one of the good things about AI, because it's called Yucca, Y-U-K-A, and you scan any label and it tells you. Now, Abby threw out about 3 shelves worth of stuff that she had yesterday, because the amount of things like E45 the amount of things that actually are prohibited in other countries as a chemical that is dangerous once it's in your body. Vaseline products came up really bad, like it's a 0 to 100 ratio, and they were getting 0. And so that's what we're putting on babies' mouths, babies' bottoms. And once it's in these certain, and it gives you the write-up of all the chemicals. So if there's one app that's good to get, to realize that there was deodorants that she scanned that said were making it homogenous causing ingredients, homogenous causing chemicals. And then they've been working on the consciousness of getting people to be confused about what sexual orientation their physical being is. So they're doing this on layers, so that even as conscious as we are, there is no getting away from it. We have to reactively and proactively and retrospectively do as much as we can to stop the change that is inorganic and allow the organic change to bloom. But actually, if you read any of these labels with this app called Yucca, and again, I don't know much more about it. I want to find out of how I get on there, because it compares good products too. But the amount of dangerous things, dangerous chemicals that they're putting on us, that all coincide with the same agendas that they're putting on us consciously to get into the subconscious, it will blow you away. So it would be naive and egotistical to say that there isn't any kind of change that shouldn't be happening in us also, because there is, because unless you are living on a farm producing everything from your own fertilizer to your own deodorants, but then still you're breathing in the air, and a lot of these same things are being sprayed in the air. So there is no getting away from it right now. It is a warfare with many directions, for sure.
A lot of fronts there. And that's the problem, is that there is no there's no sabbatical. It's constant. I mean, here in the United States, we still put in our oral hygiene products fluoride.
Yeah, well, the amount of fluoride in all of the products will blow you away.
And you're going, okay, why again? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it ain't good for us. It's and aspartame, which is I've never consumed diet products. I just never have. But in my lifetime, I've known people who were addicted to Diet Cokes of many different types and varieties, to the point where they're drinking like 2 liters of this stuff a day.
Yeah.
Every one of those people are no longer on the planet.
I was going to say, when I was in college back in the 90s, Wayne, one of my students, she did her dissertation on aspartame. And what it does, as soon as you drink aspartame, the chemical composition switches at 86 degrees. So as soon as that product reaches 86 degrees, it transforms into formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is only supposed to be brought into the body at death for preservation of organs. So this is a preservative that doesn't leave.
Well, that answers a lot of questions now. Some of the people I've met, I swear I thought they were The Walking Dead. Now I know.
They are.
You know what it did to her mom? Her mom got alopecia from all the backed up aspartame in her liver. And her daughter figured it out. She says, Mom, just stop the Diet Coke. I want to do a research on you. She's like, I need you to stop so I can do some research. And her mom was like, okay, I guess so. So she stopped drinking the Diet Coke for her daughter. Thank goodness. Within 3 months, her hair grew back.
Wow.
I have no doubt. I mean, it's sad. I mean, it's
I think these chemicals are just way worse than we know. I really think they have multiple.
I would give a go at this app. I would, if you can get this app, I would give it a go. It is so interesting. I can't even remember half of these chemicals that when Abby was reading them up, I'm looking them up, going, oh my goodness, that is so bad. That is so, and I swear I've always said it. In my ancient knowing of my ancient being, we never dealt with cancers, which is why they're not written about in the ancient texts. We never dealt viruses, which is why, because we weren't messing around with them, we weren't causing them. So if you were to think, if these people, these corporations weren't in the power positions that they're in, and we were producing foods and drinks and textiles without the Teflon in, that's causing, let's a spermicide in young boys, and all school trousers are Teflon, so you don't have to iron them anymore. You know, can you imagine just taking that out of the thing would change this place in 1 second. It would change people's bodies within a week if they weren't getting inundated with those chemicals from food produce to spraying in the skies. This is heaven. It is a place that we have a will to come. It's beautiful here. It's engaging here. It's interesting here. But these hijackers came in and gave us viruses.
Somebody's doing the hijacking.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's terrible.
You had the story last week. I don't know if we have the technology, but when I read this, that the current administration think it's a good idea to start blocking out the sun.
Well, that's a great thing.
And I'm going, has anyone, number one, I doubt we have the technology, but even if we did, does anyone really think that that's a good idea? I mean, we're altering the laws of nature here.
Yeah, they're messing everything up, Wayne.
I got a show I'm going to be doing on the fact that we are reaping the curses of our ancestors, our parents, and our grandparents. They were the catalysts of these things that we're talking about in the modern era.
Yeah.
And now
these people, these experts that are telling all these people, when you look at what they're saying with past history, none of this makes sense. It's like, how could people not see this? How could all the people be watching these leaders when everything they're doing is not right? It's literally nothing they're doing is helping our planet, truthfully. Everything with medicine is harming. It's not curing. It's just
because our medicine is based upon petroleum products.
Yes, it's what I mean. It's such a
But
mess.
if you look at sun cream, Abby scanned 4 sun creams. I won't have sun cream. Abby, I've been trying to get it for years. So basically she scanned it, and I can't remember the chemical name, but all 4 of them had a chemical in that made you allergic to the sun. caused photon allergy.
Of course, that makes perfect sense.
That's how they block out the sun. When they're talking about blocking out the sun, it's trade speak for the same people owning the same companies that make the sun creams. They're blocking it out from within you. It's always from within to the without. So they're blocking the sun from you. And so you start to transmute and absorb that sun differently. Now they go on and on about putting this on our babies, and then it's safe for our babies.
Yeah, because the sun is more intense, and they don't tell you about that. But now you have in the weather reports the UV report. 30 years ago, you never had that. I mean, I know I worked on the farm as a kid. I was just,
I never heard of no UV.
10 or 11. We worked out from sunrise to sunset, had the best tan. And, I was a towhead, but and, I grew up for a while down in Texas. And if those of you who listen in Texas, and in which I know a lot of you are, and those in Louisiana and Mississippi, but if you ever go by and you ever see the chemical plants, these are also the refineries, and they stretch for miles and miles and miles. And you got to ask yourself, that's what we're eating. That's what we're consuming. There ain't nothing natural about this stuff. And I hear the alarmists today, and I'm going, you hypocrites. Where the hell were you when they were building those plants? Right. Where the hell were the environmentalists when they saw these toxic chemicals that are now in our food?
The environmentalists are an illusion. They're paid by the same people that are causing
They're the same people that built the damn plants. Exactly. Why? Because those founders have become philanthropists now, and they want to help humanity to basically erase their sins they
Yeah.
perceive that when they die is going to be tacked to them.
Does
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
know a process so we could fire them and get a new company that's supposed to do what they do that actually does what it does? Is there a way to get these people fired? Or, because they're
No,
not,
because they control the machine. They are the
Right.
machine. I
you've got to
mean,
find a way to get them fired.
can you imagine deconstructing a chemical plant?
Mm.
Why
What human would you put in that?
Yeah, yeah. Where are we going to put it? Like
Exactly. Where, here in the city that St. Louis to the east of us, since the Manhattan Project, it's up in Wellsprings and this whole thing, they've had highly radioactive material that has been buried for 47 years. And guess what they've put on top of this dump? A school,
Yeah.
residential, businesses, of which the same thing, by the way, has taken place in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I live there in Knoxville. You know what they did back then, the Manhattan Project? These idiots threw highly contaminated material off into the ravines and then threw rocks on top of it. And then they wanted to know why 25 years later, they started having mutations of life, deer, and etc.
Exactly.
My God.
Didn't have
Exactly.
this.
I mean,
Didn't
it's like,
have this.
come on. If there is a God, at some point, I hope she's pissed off enough to kick our ass because, no matter how much you and all of us want to sit here and say how bad this is, but we are hypocrites as well because we use those products all of our lives.
And now we try not to. You
Yeah.
can go through my house. You'll not find
Yeah,
many
exactly.
in my house, but some of them sneak through, and you can't say none of them, Trina, because some of them, like
you don't
porridge
know.
and stuff like that. You scan the label of a porridge cereal box, just plain porridge should just be oats. It should just be oats.
No.
And it's like this list comes up, this litany of assaults come up with every spoonful that you're going to eat. So you can't navigate completely outside of it. You can't.
I know, you're right.
But the positive thing is that the God-like energy, it's kicking our own asses and actually living as we preach. And so today I was picking clover because I saw a patch of red clover. Red clover's harder to find than white clover. So I stopped the car and I was out. And the council guy who mows the communal lawns around, usually they would have nothing to say because I was stopping him from mowing that patch. I was like, whoa, stop. And he was like, what's wrong? And I said, there's clover there. Let me get it before you get busy on here. And he laughed and he'd said, do you want me to go up there and do that patch? I said, yeah, way up there. Stay away for a while. I'm going to be a while. And he smiled and he said, can I ask you why you are on your knees in the rain collecting clover? I said, because it's red clover, obviously. And then I looked at him and I thought, no, it's not obvious to you. So I explained to him the sparsity of the red compared to the white. And he said, what are you going to do with it? I said, make herbal teas, I make salves, and I said, this is a fabulous blood cleanser and liver cleanser. And he looked and he'd said, and I said, actually, at your age, you should be drinking it anyway to protect your prostate. And he said, so what would I do with that then? So I gave him the process of either using it fresh or drying it. And before I knew it, I was being allowed, I was invited by his body language to stick a couple of handfuls of white and red clover in his pocket for him to take away. And he was so pleased. He was glad that he'd stopped, and he said, if I see you again, I'll ask where to mow first and I'll make sure.
Fantastic.
I love it.
That is God energy coming through and kicking its ass, because a lot of people wouldn't get on their knees when people are watching, to get red clover. A lot of people might not have engaged like that man. I put a post up last week of how they see it as odd, but he sort of kicked ass and took names by being open.
I love that.
Receptive.
And by the way, guys, you need to keep that prostrate health. It's important, particularly in this day and age. Prostrate cancers are kicking the
Oh.
male population's ass. And I'm telling you, you can turn your prostrate issues around just by taking what the earth has provided.
Well, you know, the pine nut pollen that I gave you,
Mm-hmm.
I gave you the instructions. I hope I sent the instructions to put it in at least 70% or up alcohol. And that's a great male tincture. The pine tree is great for the male prostate. 10 to 20 drops of that a day can turn prostate cancer around. It can turn enlarged prostate around. And if you look beyond the veil of big pharma, you'll find the studies on it. This isn't just me saying it. So you can make yourself up, men out there. You don't have to get it from me. It's a bit of a pain to sell alcohol anyway. Collect the pine pollen in a jar over the year. Fill that up with alcohol just so it's coming over it. Give it a shake every few days. Leave it for at least 3 weeks. 2, okay, if you must. What that's going to do, you then extract it, you know, so you're pouring it with a bit of linen over the jar, so you keep all of the pine pollen out into a nice jar. You've got yourself a beautiful tincture that will protect the prostate so much. And that's why I sent it to you, Wayne, because men past 30 should start doing this, because that's where they're really being attacked. So that's a really cheap, easy solution to, 10 to 20 drops of that a day. You're sweet. You're sweet.
There you go. And I am pretty sweet already. So anyway.
Golden balls.
Definitely love y'all. Well, this has been a lively conversation. I love it, man. I mean, this is, everything we've said here is fact check it yourself, but except for the aspect of my opinion is that I do believe we're going to be set up. And, the fragileness of our consciousness as a collective species. Wow.
That's what they're after, Wayne.
Yeah, I remember as abused child that, there were those moments where I would just sit in the darkness and just, you ask yourself just how much more do you take? And I think that mankind, we as a society are there. I think that we have just been beat up so much that at this point, I think a vast majority of people are on the verge of just giving up. Yeah, we can't let them do that. We can't do that.
And we do give them the option to do that more so when we fall into the trap also of being aggressive back towards these people who are going to get very aggressive about their opinions, their views, their politics, their this, their that. They're going to get very animated, very aggressive. For us as guides, as adepts, it would be wrong for us to enter into that with a posturing of aggression back, because it's gonna, it would break people right now, or it'll break you for what it'll come back as. But we don't want to encourage people to check out in the way that I see a lot of people checking out right now. So we can't be a party to that. So even when it's really tempting, and I've had to really hold back the last 6 months. I did what I did to put messages out there, but it's hard for me to speak sometimes because a lot of the times my spirit is saying, hold back, don't do this to this person. Even when they're coming at you with fake facts and you could strike them down with your sword tongue in a second. It's so tempting sometimes to do that. But right now, I don't want to be party to that, to encourage anybody's aggression towards others or themselves and checking out ultimately. And that's another role that we have to play, keeping the ship calm.
Yeah. I mean, someone told me recently in the store that Jesus loved me. And I said, well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much. Do you believe in Jesus? And I said, I believe in a lot of things. Well,
you could have said that sounds like a you problem, because that's what came in my head.
I just simply said, I think it's great that I said that you have such a strong belief. And I think that's what's good about everybody having that choice.
Yeah.
At that point, you just smile at them and you just say, okay. Love you, man.
You are being the type of politician there that we sorely need. you know, how you
Yeah.
answered the question without answering the question with love and
Yeah.
with appreciation of their view. If we had politicians like that, we wouldn't be in this mess. You know,
we need statesmen and stateswomen, those who don't go to profit, but those who go to serve. But yeah. All right, my ladies, and y'all are indeed, you know, I figure you're both princesses, so you know, just how I see it. I don't know who the queen is, you know, but
Leave it up to mom.
you know, it's not even the queen bee that controls the hive. It's all of the worker princess bees that control the hive. Queen
Pretty
bee
much.
just back and, you know, lays eggs. But
so I'll share a story. So we have a flue on the house that apparently it had a point of entry. And this could actually have been a Stephen King mini novel. So I get up there and, you know, I put a can of, you know, hornet spray in there because I thought it was just this little tiny, yeah, man. I mean, when I finally killed them all, it was in the hundreds. And this nest was about 4.5 feet tall up the side of this flue. It had been used for multi-generations. There were that many, and it was these red wasps. I mean, hornets, they told me about this big. So yeah.
that was dangerous. Well done, Wayne.
No shit. I mean,
warrior. I would have gone in there with a shield and blowtorch.
My wife said, she says, I never saw a dude run so fast, so quickly, you know, because it was
no shame in that.
them sons of bitches started dive bombing. I mean, it was like they formed this plan and said, yeah, go to the dude over there. So anyway,
yeah, I'm glad you did that. Not me.
It's like
so interesting you say that. I got hit in the head by a hornet the other day. It dive bombed me, literally, in a house. It was in a house and I didn't even know it was there. And I was sitting at the kitchen texting my client, and it literally dive bombed me and hit my head. And then I saw it go to the wall, and I just was like, "Oh hell no!" And I just got up and
that's
I was
exactly
like,
how I say it, you know, because
Well,
I
you
carry.
guys get in the headlines that we're getting about these danger, like killer hornets that are very rare. We're getting headlines after headlines about those coming over, and I'm sure they're quite red. But their sting is so powerful. Of course, they're GMO'd, but their sting is so powerful that they're called killer hornets on the headlines over here. And so they've had everybody terrified of these killer hornets that have sort of gotten, I think they've gotten to Wales so far. So they haven't entered the UK yet. But yeah, I would have had blowtorches on the hips, on the thigh, ready to just.
That was my last ND. When I was out of my body, you know, when I got stung
by the
repeatedly by there was Africanized bees.
Oh,
and so now I have to carry around an EpiPen with me when I'm outside, you know, because you know, one sting and I go into anaphylactic shock.
Wow.
Yeah, Wayne, we'll crowdfund next time to get someone else to go in.
My wife said, then what the hell were you out there getting? You know, but it had to be done anyway. Yeah.
Playing with the hornets.
Yeah, quit playing with the hornets, damn it. You know, have you ever tried to, you know, herd hornets? That's like herding cats. They don't listen.
They would hurt me. That's one thing I would say. You are not of nature. I don't believe it to be so.
I love this group.
Direction you want me to.
Yep.
Okay, well, everybody, thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for supporting both Trina and Jenny, and I'll see you two beautiful ladies next week.
Thank you. Yeah.
Have a fabulous week, you all, and thank you everyone in the chat room. We love you. You know,
show everybody your hand. You're healing so good, guys.
It's
He's a fast healer. He is.
It's still swollen, but
but it's doing
I'm
great.
taking it out because I started getting what they called a trigger hand, and that's where the bone sets up and the tendons have a tendency to contract
Yes.
Yep.
and
Please,
get stuck.
use your oil.
Yep.
Please use your oil. If you put your oil on the salve and put a glove on or a sock overnight, that will really help the inflammation go down and those nerve endings knit back
Thank you.
together.
That is the big problem. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
You know, it's so funny, Wayne. My dad has that, and I have that too.
you see, that is so freaking weird.
Interesting. I'm like, you're just freaking me out today. Talking about I could dive bomb by a hornet this week, and then the trigger finger issue.
The synergy of this group and the chat room and everything else, man. Yes, Guy, I'm receiving that, dear. Thank you. I'll back the hand. Sky Boy says, I love this group. My ladies, favor be to you all, everyone else, and see you probably tomorrow for sure. I'm thinking so, but definitely for Thursday and next week, Penny Kelly, and then I'm going to get Ryder on. I want him, folks. I've seen the preview of the movie. Ryder Lee is an exceptional voiceover talent.
He is.
Wow.
He really is.
He really, really is. He's just
His mind's on fire too right now. He's just he
yeah.
wants so much to know what's true and what's not true, and
Yeah, it's
it's
hunger.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's hungry for the truth. You know, oh, before I forget, maybe y'all are supposed to join me with this because this was so powerful. When I have really powerful visions, it's not very often, and I don't share a lot of them, but this one I was like told to share. You know, the sword of truth.
Mhm.
I literally saw us bringing a crystalline sword into every government structure, into every underground base, into every single place upon this earth that needs some light brought into it. I literally saw a crystalline sword, and it was the sword of truth, and it was emanating wisdom and knowledge. So people that needed to wake up would get the information. Like it was a meaningful way to help those who don't even know they're in a lower level matrix overlay, to help them see through it. It was like to help them pierce the veil if they so choose. And they were saying activate a sword of truth in all areas that need it. And they showed me a crystal sword, and it was all colors, and it was emanating this beautiful light, and it was just powerful. So, sword of truth.
All right. With